So our Bible reading this morning, words that have already been alluded to during the course of the meeting today, from Luke chapter 13 and verses 31 to 35. Inside the chapel, a high arched window looks out over the city, and the iron grille work divides the view into sections. So that on a sunny day, the effect is that of a stained glass window. The difference, of course, is that this subject is alive. It's not some artist's rendering of the holy city, but the city itself, with the dome of the rock in the bottom left corner and the church of the Holy Sepulchre in the middle. Down below, on the front of the altar, is a picture of what never happened in that city. It's a mosaic medallion of a white hen with a golden halo around her head. Her red comb resembles a crown, and her wings are spread wide to shelter the pale yellow chicks that crowd around her feet. There are 7 of them, with black dots for eyes and orange dots for beaks. They look happy to be there. And the hen looks ready to spit fire if anyone comes near to her babies. The medallion is rimmed with red words in Latin, and translated into English they read, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. That last phrase is set outside the circle in a pool of red underneath the chick's feet. You were not willing. Now, this same lament appears in Matthew's Gospel, but Jerusalem doesn't mean the same thing to him that it does to Luke. Luke's Gospel begins and ends in the temple in Jerusalem. Zechariah learns in the temple that he and Elizabeth will have a child. Mary and Joseph bring their own child there when the time comes. And Simeon and Anna deliver their prophecies there. And then Jesus returns when he is 12 years old to take his place among the teachers of Israel. Now, all told, Luke mentions Jerusalem 90 times in his Gospel, while all the other New Testament writers combined mention it only 49 times. It's hard to avoid the conclusion that Luke loves the place, so rich in history and symbol, so dense with expectation and fear. Jerusalem is the dwelling place of God, the place where God's glory shall be revealed. It's also the place where God is betrayed by those who hate the good and love what is evil. If you've ever loved someone you couldn't protect, then you will understand the depth of Jesus' lament. All you can do is to open your arms. And many in Ukraine are, I guess, at this time in the same situation. But you can't make anyone walk into them. Meanwhile, this is the most vulnerable posture in the whole world. Wings spread, breast exposed. But if you mean what you say, then this is how you should stand. Given the number of animals that are available, it's curious that Jesus chooses a hen. Where is the biblical precedent in that? What about the mighty eagle of Exodus? Or Hosea's stealthy leopard? What about the proud lion of Judah, mowing down his enemies with a roar? Compared to any of those, a mother hen doesn't inspire much confidence. No wonder some of the chicks decided to go with the fox. But a hen is what Jesus chooses, which if you think about it, is pretty typical of him. He's always turning things upside down so that children and peasants wind up on top, while kings and scholars land on the bottom. He's always wrecking our expectations of how things should turn out by giving prizes to losers and paying the last first. So of course he chooses a chicken, which is about as far from a fox as you can get. That way the options become very clear. You can live by licking your lips, or you can die protecting the chicks. Jesus won't be king of the jungle in this or any other story. What he will be is a mother hen who stands between the chicks and those who mean to do them harm. She has no fangs, no claws, no rippling muscles. All she has is her willingness to shield her babies with her own body. If the fox wants them, then he's going to have to kill her first. That passage from Luke today is a clear expression of exactly what Jesus thought his death was all about. Jesus has no need of a bodyguard to protect him. Instead, his death would offer protection to others. Like the hen with her chicks, he would take up the challenge of the cross and lay down his own life in Jerusalem. And there is an important theological point here, that Jesus went to that cross voluntarily. This passage seems to emphasize the intention of Jesus, that the cross will not become Jesus is trapped in the Garden of Gethsemane and his followers let him down. He won't fight back, but it's not because he is a coward, rather because he knows that he must offer his own life for the life of others. Like a hen which will put out its wings to protect the chicks and ultimately give of its own life first, so Jesus shows a willingness to pay the greatest price. And nothing would stop Jesus completing his ministry or mission here on earth. No obstacle could delay him, no enemy deter him, no threat defeat him. His mission was more important than life itself. And with unwavering courage, he was determined to do the work that he was called to do. Like an athlete running a race, a champion completing a course, he would keep going until the very end. So Jesus calls us all to the shelter of his protecting wings. As he stretches wide his arms on the cross, he calls you and he calls me to come to him for safety. He calls us to place our trust in him, irrespective of how great our fears, the hurts, troubles, or pains which we might be feeling. We can have confidence to believe that his outstretched arms are strong enough, his wings sufficiently broad enough to keep us safe. And it's only in the shadow, the safe shadow of his wings, that we are saved. So how can we know that God is with us and will continue to sustain us as we journey on? Lent is a time for us to open our lives. For the first time, or again, to obtain awareness of the presence of God. We may see God in those around us, in our prayers, in our actions, in people who are different from ourselves, and in people who are the same in all things. Possibly the best way to judge whether Lent has been profitable is to ask whether it has helped us to see God better and amend our lives accordingly. Reflection leading to action. So how is your Lenten observance helping you to see well? To be more aware of the presence of God in our world? To be better able to see and understand those who are different from yourself? To see the poor and needy of the world and work to make a difference? To see the sins of which we are ashamed and leave them at the cross? Luke characterizes Jesus as a prophet who takes upon himself the image of the divine bird. Not as the eagle with a nest that we read of in Deuteronomy at chapter 32:11, but as a hen, he desires to provide shelter under his wings. And I wonder whether Jesus was perhaps thinking of Psalm 91 verse 4, which reads, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." His faithfulness will be your shield and your rampart. Let me conclude this sermon this morning by simply saying what Jesus said. You will not see me again until you say, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." He was speaking here about his second coming at the end of history. On that great day, everyone will know that Jesus is Saviour, including everyone who rejected him. Every eye will see him, every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess his name as Lord and Saviour. His second coming will mean salvation for many, but damnation for those who never received Jesus by faith. He invites us to come under his sheltering wing before it is too late. And I ask you this morning, have you done that? Or will you take the opportunity to do it this morning?